Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network, seeing some new highs set in the trade as we do today's program, getting ready ahead of a holiday with the 4th of July quickly approaching. We're going to talk about really how rock solid this market has been this week with some selling. Of course, we know of some issues at a Cargill facility in Dodge City, Kansas. They're coming back online. But we'll talk about how that's all been working into the factors of this week's market trade. And of course, a lot just waiting on the cash. Let's get the details as we bring in, of course, Brad Kooima. He's with Kooima Kooima Varilek out of Sioux Center, Iowa. Really, when you talk about it being a rock solid technical week of selling, I think you just put the frosting on the cake.
Well, yeah, I tell you what, it was kind of a textbook. Thanks for having me on. First of all, Susan, I enjoy this a lot, as you know. The market is a market of action and reaction. Okay, I don't care what market you're talking about, whether you're talking about corn or copper, cocoa, cattle. Nothing goes straight up. Nothing goes straight down, unless you're hogs, maybe. Kidding, not kidding. So we had the big rally, right? I mean, that whole big leg up where we took new contract highs out last week. And then last Friday, it was, don't forget, last Friday was month end and quarter end. So some profit taking, I think, to be expected. Monday was worse than I thought probably it needed to be, but I think part of the problem there was that, the market was trying to assimilate the news of what was happening there in Dodge City with that one packing plant that had a partial roof collapse over their fab floor. The market is sensitive to that kind of stuff. I mean, I think we all probably, at least I know right where I was standing when we heard about the Holcomb fire on the edge of the Grand Canyon. Ironically, we were on a little vacation. Anyway, so the market, especially at these kind of levels, they're going to be very sensitive to that. So we had that big up, Susan, and then we had the 2 down days, which weren't too difficult to explain, right? And then you'd say one of the simple rules, call me simple, but I sometimes think we overthink it. Okay, if we go 3 days against the existing trend, it's time to pay attention. Okay, so if we've been down and then have 3 up days, you know what? Maybe we're turning. Okay, if we've been up straight up and have more than 3 down days, it can happen and still be fine. But I mean, it's one of those first. You should, the yellow flag, the yellow lights blinking. Okay, pay attention. So I thought it was just textbook here. The market came back really, really nicely, and so. When a trading this good, who needs holidays? Heck, we should be open on Saturdays and Sundays, right? And, good close today and real solid. I thought real solid technical action. We've seen a nice accumulation of the open interest here the last little while too. So it looks like some of our friends in the fund community are liking us again and coming back. And they got a lot of room to go. They do not have a big position here. I would view that statement as bullish, that they've got a lot of gas in the tank, ammo, whatever you want to call it, dry powder. Yeah, nice to see the market correct.
And you did talk about that facility, and it's amazing how others facilities kind of pick up where they need to, because they need the cattle. They need to get this cattle moved through. And pens that were sold and were processed a day or 2 later, or even not even the day of.
Yeah, 100%. Now, 2 parts to that question. Yes, there's been some added Saturday kill, which should make up for, maybe not completely, but very close. At 3 different plants to offset the dark days that they had at that plant there in Dodge City because of the damage from the hard rain. And they wouldn't do that unless they had meat sold, or if they were doing it profitably, whatever. They're making money. And as to the second part of your question, I don't know, people resent this when I say this. I apologize in advance, but I do feed cattle. My brother sells them for me. So he sold cattle for me on Friday for $2 picked up. What unbelievable, right? I mean, crazy. And 2 pens of them, and they are both gone. They are both dead already. They went yesterday and today. So, we always like having a little leverage, right? I've talked about leverage till I'm blue in the face, but to me, that's the market. If we could somehow figure out where that fine line is between not enough and too many, okay? I think we lose sight of that. And we're there because we're current. Let's stay that way. This feels like 2014. We got current in June, and it stayed that way until like November. So there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be issues, but I really love the way the market feels right now.
Do you think this bull market can continue?
Barring something that I can't see, okay, which anymore. I mean, it's almost gotten to be the norm. Some other black swan. Whether it's bird flu or something else. What if we don't have something like that? What'll happen eventually is the gorilla in the room is the average weights. Cattle are big because the weather's been good. I think now the weather's starting to get hotter. The cattle aren't maybe doing quite the 4 pounds a day and 2 more pounds at night kind of performance like we've seen before. But guys know I'm kidding, right? I know how much cattle can do.
Right.
So what could potentially happen is if you get into a time where there actually is a few more cattle, which I would say maybe by August, that's the way I look at the placement pattern of the fall, where we placed a lot of light cattle, and it just takes more time. But at this rate, right now, I feel like in June we sold the July cattle. In July, we're going to sell what was scheduled for August. In August, we'll sell, if we keep going like this, we'll sell the cattle that are scheduled for September. That's what happened in 2014. And at this point, that feels like the trail we're on again.
So how tight are the numbers in the north? I know we've talked about this week in and week out, but are they continuing to get tighter, or are we starting to see just a little bit of give?
The beginning and end of all markets start in Iowa, right? Okay.
Yep.
Somebody's going to remember that eventually, right? One of my favorite sayings I got stuck up on my desk here. Show list, from the people that carry the show list around here, I know very well, are still, I would say, a half or more less than what would be typical for this time of year. This would be right when we're right in the heart of the calf run. We're farmer feeders here. We buy calves, we feed them silage, the ground ear corn, This is what we do. So this would be the time where we should be having a lot of cattle. So the fact that they're not there, is there a few more cattle than there were in April? Yeah. Because we were between crops of cattle between the yearlings and the calves. But if I would compare it to a year ago and the year before that, we're still very, very tight in the north. I'm surprised that the next thing you aren't going to hear is that you're going to have the packer / the kill try to slow it down, try to back some cattle up. But I think he's got a conundrum. Meat's moving. He's making a little bit of money. I think everybody's hoping that the other guy will do it so they don't have to, because they want to keep killing. So those got to be some tough Monday morning quarterback meetings at the boardroom there. I really feel bad for him.
Well, we're heading into a holiday weekend. Wishing you guys a great 4th of July. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you, Brad?
Yeah, have a good holiday, safe one. And glad you're feeling a little bit better, Susan.
Thank you.
KKVtrading.com or 712-722-0023.
All right, quick reminder, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss, not suitable to all investors. And that's this week's Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.